Hey y'all. Best Sakia NA here. Um the Ruby Amity Arena meta has some problems, and I had a game off stream earlier that I feel is one of the problems of the current meta in a nutshell right now. So I played this deck because Neo recently had
if you
a
would.
bug fix, bug change, bug something, whatever you want to call it, where she originally would jump to a target location based on where she took damage last. But she would attack the nearest location, and taunts, of course, would still work on her. Now, her jump is directly to whatever dealt damage to her. So she pretty much gets guaranteed removal and or guaranteed turret damage, and again I say and or because sometimes she can get both. So you could play, Crow's really good, don't get me wrong. Crow's really good, Chopkeep's really good, Penny's really good. There's Iceflower obviously is insane. There's a lot of good cards. It's really funny just looking through my decks, and Iceflower is in every single one of them. Anyways, because she's just the best, one of the best cards in the game. But the point is, I don't even think, at least as far as ladder goes, if you're just looking to just grind games, I don't think it's worth it to be overthinking things and like, how am I going to fight against this Neo push, or how am I going to fight against this Neo blob? I hesitate to even call it a push because it's not really a push. You just play the combo, and then that's it. And then when the combo's up, you just play it again, and you just rotate around to other random units until the combo's up again. Yeah. So yeah, this replay, I guess we should watch, and that'll get more into it. But I don't. This deck does so much damage, and I personally feel like I am making so few actual decisions. So we are against Catlord. Catlord's another really great player. Shoutouts to Catlord. He just happened to run up against this deck and lose against this deck. Now, again, you can see, like, I'm playing other decks and stuff, he's playing against that. So, playing other stuff, doing other things. But yeah, this deck is just really good, and I guess my problem with this deck is I play a combo as soon as it's up. Doesn't matter what the board state is, doesn't matter what you're doing, I just play the combo. And it's up to my opponent to stop it. I have no real interaction with the combo. The combo is mostly just Emerald, Dropship, and Neo. And so the thing is, I'm not doing anything really. I'm just playing the combo as soon as it's up and then just surviving in the game. And my opponent is like, okay, I need to play Iceflower right here. I need to play this card here. Maybe I can delay with Nolan and the 4 BDS card. And, they're overthinking it so hard. And I'm just sitting here like, yo, man, I'm just going to play this combo again when it's up. Eventually, you're going to mess up. I don't need to think. So, yeah, this is that deck. And, as long as you have Neo, it's actually pretty cheap to make. You don't really need Iceflower, I don't even think. Iceflower is amazing, but, like, you don't need it against most people until you run into, like, the Flashies and Rains and CRVTs and stuff. So, start off, I play Nolan because I don't have the combo in my hand. Then I play Gunner, I still don't have the combo in my hand. Probably shouldn't be playing it this far back. Probably should have played it further up to harass.
Nice
So,
hustle,
we almost
Fox.
have the
Good
combo.
job.
We're getting really, really close. So they play Fox, distract our right-hand side. We're still going to do some damage on that side. It's kind of nice, long term. So anyways, here's the combo. Here we go. I play out the combo. So my opponent had Penny out, and unfortunately for that Penny, Neo just jumps right to that Penny now. The Ghost Neo. The Clone Neo. And the other Neo literally chunked their tower. You're not misreading that number. That other Neo chunked their tower down to 2,775. Their tower's at half health right now because of a single Neo. And it was just because our opponent made a tiny mistake, and we didn't really plan. It wasn't like, oh man, this sick play where I'm like gonna jump this Crow this way and the Shadow Blade this way, and then play this Fox in this way and hit this, and then, oh, I'm gonna push a unit out of the way. I'm gonna throw Nolan in front of a Cinder or something to push her back. Now,
Nice hustle, Fox.
I'll tell you what I'm
Good
gonna
job.
do. I'm gonna play the combo again. Here it comes.
Neo?
And there it is. And let's see how much damage we do this. Oh. cares? So they play AKs this time. AKs are a very good card. You'll notice the Ghost Neo, again, still jumps back into the back line. They just happen to be playing a Penny deck, and Penny doesn't really do anything in this situation. So yeah, we still do a ton of damage. And even though the turrets didn't die, the fact that they played all of that aura, and then we cleared everything anyways, you'll notice, I mean, we're still ahead in aura. Which is kind of crazy to think about, that we're still ahead in aura in this situation. Like, we're just playing this combo. Oh, well, looks like the combo's coming up, so I guess we'll play the combo again. That's coming up soon. Just gonna do that, I guess, because that's always optimal with this deck. I'm just gonna play it slightly further back. We can give him a little bit more time to respond. So here we go. Here's the combo. Here's the response. So once again, Penny on the right side. Left side, obviously that Neo is just gonna do whatever she wants. We still have 35 seconds. We probably have enough time to kill off their tower with this combo, which is what I was thinking about. It's like, well, the tower's kind of low. We can probably just fire off the combo and send both the Neos on the left-hand side. Iceflower over there to support. We missed one of the AKs and it doesn't even matter. And now Neo's just charging forward. She's doing damage, and of course the tower hits her. Yeah. So I didn't really think at all. I just played stuff, and it's like, you could say like, well, your opponent had a bad matchup, and it's like, well, sure. So I guess what I mean is that you can't really play decks that can't fight Neo in this patch at all. Just like you can't really play decks that don't have a response to Shopkeeper. Just like you can't really play decks that don't really have a response to Crow. You either need to have damage that hits so fast and so crazy that Shopkeep can't bring them back into the game and Crow can't bring them back into the game because their tower is gone. Their central tower. Or you have a deck where you got your Iceflower, you got your Crow, you got your Penny, you got your Shopkeeper, whatever, and then you have every response and can just kind of keep shopkeeping in the back and get your value, use your pennies, use your crows. Crow in the back now is really, really good with the change to Neon. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird patch where I don't really feel like, at least personally, I don't really feel like I enjoyed any of the decks that are in the current patch right now. Like, I feel like I'm just going through the motions almost with decks like these, where I'm just like, yep, here's the combo, I'm gonna play it. Here's the combo, I'm gonna play it. And that's that. As soon as it's up, I play it. And I'm not, again, planning, I'm not positioning, I just play it right in the center, and it splits by itself, and it's gonna do damage, more than likely. Now, you know, you can say, like, well, Flint's a really good response, and it's like, yeah, I think that almost everyone is going to be having Flint in their deck at the upper level soon, if they plan to react to this deck. I think that it's okay to just play this deck, personally, because just play it. It's good. You know, leave the onus on your opponent to figure out how to fight this deck, because, you know, why not? Why not? So, I don't know. Neo seems ridiculously strong now. I'm not sure why she needed to be this strong. I am aware that she was bugged before. I'm aware that it was a bug fix and not a balance change, but fact of the matter is she's one of the strongest cards in the game now overnight. And you can just do that with her over and over, and it's really, really hard to stop unless you have a very specific deck tailored to fight it, which means that every single deck is going to revolve around these super strong cards right now. Shopkeep, Crow, Leo, Iceflower. Like every deck is gonna have to react to that stuff in some way. So I feel like it really narrows down the meta. You can't really do any pushes anymore. Pushes were already kind of gone in the last few patches, where it's like, you know, the good old days where you could play like AK-130s or like a Pyrrha, back when Pyrrha existed. You could play those cards and then have like a Glinda that you'd play defensively earlier as a, you know, you play the Glinda tower in the back, right? And then you move forward, and then the Glinda tower is recharged by now, and then you put the Glinda tower on their turret with the AKs to protect it or whatever. That's all gone. Like, there's no reason to play that. Like, this Neo deck will do way more damage than that deck would ever dream of doing, much more efficiently with way fewer counters. And you were seeing, like, you know, at least theoretically, AK-130s counter, you know, Neo, but not really, because, I mean, as long as it's in range of the opponent's turret, the turret can still get that last hit, and then Neo just jumps over and does like 700 damage to a turret. Um, or their tower. Why not? Yeah. So I don't know. And again, on the opposite side of things, you have shopkeeper decks that are just going to get infinite value over time. And so it's pretty much you either have a combo that is so powerful that your opponent can't possibly scale in time, and they can't defend against you, you know, or your defenses are so strong, like you have perfect defense with like Iceflower and everything like that, and you just keep getting shopkeeper after shopkeeper, and your side's stacked with shopkeepers, and your aura advantage is so huge that your opponent literally can't win because you have like 500 aura over your opponent. So I don't know, it's strange. I feel like, again, pushes are gone. It's pretty much just chip with Crow, shopkeep, penny stuff, or just play, you know, this Neo deck. Like, literally this Neo deck. Like, put any of the cards that you own. If you have Emerald, Dropship, Neo, Nolan, White Fang Gunner, White Fang Squad, you have this deck. And you can honestly just put in 2 other random cards. Iceflower is really good. Zwei is really good for spot removal, obviously, still. But, there's like other cards you could put on, you know, Neon, obviously, you could put in this deck. All kinds of stuff. But really, it's just those 6 cards, because it supports a Neo, a cycle into Dropship, Neo, Emerald. And then you just play that, and it's just, there it is. There's your ticket to A9. I don't know. So I don't really know what the fix is. I mean, I guess it would be nice to see pushes real again, where you could, like, play defensive units that don't get immediately blown up by an Iceflower. Like, how crazy is that? That, like, you literally, like, even defensive AKs are just kind of gone now, because, like, you can't drop those anymore. Like, they either have so low health that an Iceflower, without even using her ability, would just finish them off as they're coming towards the turret, or they have full health and you defended the push perfectly, you have these AKs, you got range support behind, you got the big push, here we go, and then your opponent just plays Iceflower and you can't react to the Iceflower because the activation is 0.5 seconds and the range is huge compared to Weiss, and it doesn't put her at risk because she fires it at long range and then stays at her location, as opposed to Weiss, which jumps forward and then moves into melee range. So, you know, she not only freezes the entire wave, but her shots are piercing, so anything that she doesn't freeze, she's gonna hit anyways with the next 3 freeze follow-ups, and since they all pierce, she can go right through a group of things like, you know, AKs and just gone. So that's crazy. Yeah, but, like, if you don't have Iceflower in game, like, it's the other crazy thing, too. You need a card as powerful as Iceflower in game, because if you don't have Iceflower in game, there's, like, no way, there's no real way to stop this Neo Emerald style deck, where you just, here's Neo, and she's coming for your base, and you need Flint, you need Iceflower, and if you don't have those 2 cards, it's, like, almost impossible to successfully defend. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a strange meta where it just feels like here are the only decks you can play. And obviously it's different in Arena 1 and Arena 2. I'm just talking about, like, once you get past the 3000 range. Once you start fighting against some of the best players in the game, you know, Flashy, Rain, CR, VT, Minato, Shadow, and so on and so forth. There's lots of players I could list. I'm not going to list them all, but they're right. Once you get up to this point, it's like, here are the cards you're allowed to play. Everything else is bad, because everything else is either it can't defend against Neo, or it can't possibly fight against Iceflower, or it doesn't stop Crow successfully, and Crow's, like, so strong right now too. You know, or you can't push through this, and their penny in the back line is just slowly going to kill you, or you don't have a response to Shopkeeper, and so your opponent just has infinite aura by, like, the 1 minute mark. They're so ahead, it's unbelievable. And you can't just say, like, oh, I'm gonna do a slow push and have, like, this, basically it's like, think like a card game where you have, like, aggro and mid-range and whatever. Like, the Neo deck is almost like an aggro combo deck, where as soon as the combo's up, you just play it and just go for it, just whatever. It's very aggressive. It doesn't really have any plans to defend, because your opponent has to waste so much aura defending that you don't really have to worry about a counter push. You saw, like, our opponent played tons of stuff in defense, and it didn't matter, because, yeah. So you need to play a very specific set of defensive cards, and then you can hold it. And ideally you have some stuff to kind of chip back at your opponent, like an Iceflower that lives through the engagement and then can walk up and maybe use her ability again or something. Um, neon that goes through and chips the turret. Those kinds of things. Yeah, I don't know. So you have like that aggro deck, and then you kind of have the kind of slower defensive, almost control-y deck with Iceflower, Shopkeeper, whatever. You just sit in the back, occasionally chip with Grow or whatever. Um, that's it. Like, there's no real mid range. It's like, you can play some kind of mid rangey strategy, but this deck is going to do so much more damage. Like, if you spend like 5 aura on like setting up a backline push and your opponent plays this 10 aura combo, like what? You're going to use 5 aura to stop a Neo, a clone Neo, dropship, a clone dropship, and you spent 5 aura on like your Ursa or more on your like Paladin or whatever. It's like, no, I mean, you just can't stop this. Come on. Not with that. And you're not going to do more damage on the counter. So I don't know. I don't know. It almost feels like there just needs to be like a clean sweep of every single card in the game to just say like, well, what is this card doing? Or sorry, I should say, what is this card supposed to do? Like, take each individual card. Like, you go sweep through every single card. Like, Baby Deathstalkers. What does this card currently do in game? What is it supposed to be doing in game? If we change this card to what it's supposed to be doing, stronger, weaker, reworked, whatever, if we change it to what it's supposed to be doing, how does that affect everything else? Because, like, with the Neo change, right? This was a bug fix. Neo was bugged, right? So the idea was Neo is supposed to be a character that jumps to what broke her parasol. But she jumps to who broke her parasol, but then attacks whatever is nearest to her, and additionally can be taunted to never attack that person. So yeah, that's interesting, right? So that was changed so that she wouldn't be bugged, and now she guaranteed attacks whatever broke her parasol. But in doing so, it's made her card so much stronger. So I feel like, again, like this is part of the sweep, right? Where it's like, okay, what's this card supposed to be doing? How are we going to change it to make it so it does what it's supposed to do? And then there's that extra step where if we change this card to what it's supposed to be doing, how does it affect the rest of the game? Like, that's the next step, right? And I feel like we're here. Like, okay, Iceflower's supposed to do this. Is that good for the game? Neo's supposed to do this. Is that good for the game? Crow's supposed to do this. Is that good for the game, right? Yeah, and that's complicated. I mean, balance in video games is very, very complicated. I've worked with design. I've worked with QA and testing and game design with a number of different groups before. I'm making a Tooth and Tail mod. It's a real-time strategy game that's kind of like a fan-made expansion to that game. It adds new units, including units from sprites that were unused in the game files that I have permission from the developers to use to kind of make this free little expansion. So I'm working on that on the side. I did a lot of work for years on Infinity Wars. That was a card game on the council, essentially. They're doing testing behind the scenes, balance decisions, and everything on the cards. Had a lot of input on the final 2 sets of that game in particular. Yeah, so and I've been basically on a design team of people who work on Advanced Wars by Web on and off for years. At one point, I actually headed that team, and now I don't. The current head is Zeronix. Before me, it was Walker. So yeah, I do a lot of design, and I care a lot about design, and I understand how ridiculously difficult it is to balance these kinds of games. I just worry when it feels like I'm like, well, I can play this combo aggro deck where I don't really feel like I'm making decisions. I can play a hardcore defensive deck where, yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm making decisions, but I'm forced to play like an insanely specific card set of like, you have to play all of these things that can fight aggro Neo, but then also fight like whatever random stuff that you run into on ladder. And if you don't really enjoy playing either of those styles, the game's just like, I mean, that's how it is in A9, I guess. You gotta learn to play something, Yeah, I don't know. And it just feels like there's so many cards. There's so many cards in this game that are like just short of playable. Just short. Like Boundless Jean. It's amazing to me that we have a card that, like, he sprints forward, he has invincibility frames, and he can heal in a gigantic, wide area, and we just nerfed so many AoE cards. We nerfed, Zwei, we nerfed, Cinder, you know, they nerfed Neon, who kind of goes along with the AoE stuff in terms of like Neon being able to turn away an entire push of like AKs and AK 130s and John or the Beowulf pack perhaps and John, right? Like anything that's like a couple of units or even Sun and John, and you're like, oh well, then yeah, obviously those things should be good in game. But you know, Boundless Jean should be good in game right now. But he isn't really, because every single one of those things gets stopped by Iceflower. It literally, every single one of those is stopped by Iceflower, because it's frozen, you can't do anything, Iceflower's damage is incredible, and you can just play anything else to shore up the 4 aura for DPS, even just some gunners or something to finish them off or whatever. That's kind of nuts, right? Like, that card is so powerful. But again, that's what I'm saying, is if you nerf Iceflower, I don't know how you're supposed to fight against this Neo deck, because all you really have left is like Flint and maybe Fox?
Nice hustle.
I don't know. I don't know what's left. Penny doesn't do anything because, you know, the ghost, the clone Neo jumps to the Penny right off the bat, so you have to clear that first, and then after that, sure, maybe you could use Penny. So that means that you need something to clear off like this tiny Neo that's being covered by 2 dropships. Yeah, I don't know. It's just Iceflower, really. Cinder, kind of, but again, she's just gonna get jumped to. Iceflower gets invincibility frames, and she gets the freeze and the AoE, and then multiple shots after that. So like, she's kind of the perfect candidate for this kind of situation. Slowing down attack speed and slowing down movement speed is also a thing that really, really helps with fighting off against pushes. It's like, you can't nerf her, even if she is, like, overpowered, I guess you could say, because she is. But you can't, because then you don't have anything to stop this push. And it's the same thing with, like,
Neo?
you nerf Neo, and then the only deck that's left is, like, high-value Iceflower, Shopkeeper, Crow. Like, that's all that's left, too, right? It's, you know, like, yeah. And not even Shopkeeper. I mean, Shopkeeper's... That's the thing, too, that's funny. Like, Shopkeeper isn't exactly broken right now because everything else is so broken. And I guess that's the issue. Is it's basically, A9 is like, you need to pick these cards that are so ridiculously above the curve in power, and if you don't, then you just have a really hard time playing this game. It's like you have, like, top-tier cards, and then everything below that is, like, way down here. And you have, like, mid-tier, low-tier, bottom-tier. But there's, like, this giant gap, you know? And there's, like I said, there's so many strategies that could be in-game, but it's just this complex, layered, tricky situation right now, which is why I understand. It's very difficult to balance. So it's not like you can just nerf one of these cards, right? It's like you have to... Like, if you nerfed Neo, Iceflower, Crow, Shopkeep, and Penny, I'm not even really sure if that would be the way to go, because you nerf all of those cards, and then you have to look at what's left, right? Suddenly is, like, AK-130 pushing, or, like, Beowulf pack pushing, like, suddenly is that, like, overpowered? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's the new deck, then. So it's really, really hard to balance the game in such a way where you can have aggressive strategies that are good, and like combo strategies that are good, and more like mid-rangey push strategies that are good, and also like these new long-term almost ramp decks with Shopkeeper that are also good. There's all these different, you know, yeah, there's so many different strategies and so many different ways, obviously, that everyone wants to play this game. And so, I mean, right now, if you like Neo or you like Iceflower and you want to play with those cards, this meta is amazing for you. This meta is, like, fantastic, because those are, like, the best decks in the game right now. But if you don't, then, yeah, it's kind of tricky right now. So, I don't know, just a big, long-winded, you know, recording here of me just talking about RWBY Amity Arena and how much I love this game. I really, really do. I just, I wish more things were viable, and I don't actually have a clear-cut answer for how to fix it all. It's one of those things where, like, I would have to legitimately sit down for, like, you know, a few days, probably, and look over every single card and try to come up with, like, a possible balanced patch, because like I said, like you nerf the aggro combo-y stuff and you nerf the ramp stuff, then maybe mid-range is too strong, and then it's like, if you don't have AK-130s in your deck, what the heck are you doing, right? Like that, we've had metas like that. Yeah. But it would be really cool to see like a meta where like you could play this combo style, but like if someone defends against this combo correctly, then they could make a push. And your deck's weakness is you just have the combo, right? You don't really have defenses you could play. This deck kind of does. You have Zwei, you also have Iceflower, and you could put Neo or Neon in this deck instead. That could be another defensive option. You could put Flint in this deck. That's another defensive option. And like, you don't really need too much else because the deck cycles so fast that you're probably going to have those on cooldown anyways, because you didn't use them in the push. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I have a solution, but A9 meta feels really kind of locked in right now, and really almost like you're forced to play these strong cards. I, of course, still love RWBY Amity Arena. Feel like I should have probably prefaced this video with that, yeah. I hope that we see a more varied meta in the future. I know new characters are coming, always. I know new balance patches are coming, always. But, and I think we are moving in a good direction with, like, Zwei and Cinder being adjusted, Neon being adjusted. We're, like, halfway there, and with just, like, a few more nudges, we could probably have a really good meta where, like, Neo's viable, Iceflower's good, but not, like, broken. Shopkeeper's good, but not broken. Crow and Penny are good, but not, broken. And then maybe, again, we'd have other strategies emerge again. Like, you'd see the AK Glinda defensive play into a push. You'd see the Beowulf pack stuff going on, and Beowulf in general. You'd see more like Ursa be viable. I haven't even talked about Paladin. Paladin's a card that's slowly but surely creeping up, and one of these days everyone's going to notice that Paladin is essentially a better Ursa right now. They haven't really yet. A lot of players haven't noticed how good Paladin is, and I do wonder like, if and when these strong cards get nerfed, it's like maybe Paladin's going to be the strongest card, the strongest card to build a deck around, because it keeps getting buffed and buffed and buffed, and no one's really noticed how ridiculously high its health is in attack, and how few ways there are left as things get nerfed to stop it. But anyways, it's a talk for another day. Mainly wanted to talk about how kind of frustrating it is right now in A9. Love y'all. Love RWBY Amity Arena. So, gonna keep playing it, obviously. Gonna keep streaming it. But, current meta could use some spice. Could use some other things that could be viable. That could be cool. I would love to play other cards. We'll see what the next patch brings.